I've been awake for quite a few minutes, maybe half an hour or so, and I was trimming my bouquets things, the stems, and putting in some fresh water. And all the little boat orchids fell to the ground. But I want to show you something, and I took photos there in the back where I was painting yesterday. And here's what I want you to see. So that one is still a little bit fresh, but it did fall off. That one's somewhat more aged. Let me put them like this. This one is starting to wilt. This one's definitely wilted already. And these two are completely dried up. So even in that progression of aging, I could pick up beautiful colors. I remember when it was still fresh and young, delivered to my front door. But I noticed that the yellows in here were far brighter and more delicate, and the pinks were a little bit brighter. So at a stage, I did draw this in my big practice sketchbook that I obviously recommend you have. And before I pick off these, let me just show you these as well. So these are all things you can take as separate individual elements and draw in that spare sketchbook. Discover some colors, and you don't have to use watercolor for this. Use a different medium. Use something like pencil. And remember, pencil has a sharp point, so you'll get into details with a pencil. But once your brain understands these details, it's easier to loosen up, because we are stressed about the shape of the thing, the color of the thing, and small little studies, individual little studies like this will help you to differentiate between those shapes, to see what comes in front, what goes in the back. But that sketchbook can stay completely separate to what we are doing in this workshop course. So that's all I wanted to show you, is that progression of decay and how you can literally pick up on those colors and practice them. Add them to your work. If you have a whole bouquet of these boat flowers or boat orchids, you could give each of the buds and each of the flowers on that long stem a unique color combination, but not so far divided that they don't look like they belong together. So this dahlia had a greenish, light, almost orange tinge to it, right? And then these ones, look at these beautiful colors. Let me pick up this one. Look at that. It's almost burgundy pink, and I can still see the remnants of the green that was in there, but it's just gorgeous. I would love to sit down today and just pick out all of these colors. They are magnificent. And also look at the shapes on each of those leaves. I'm sure if we soak these in water a little bit, they might loosen up and lay flat again, but they'll keep this color, which is going to be wonderful. I'll see how I'll do that. But for now, they need to come off so that the flower can live out its last week or so. Green. The flower is going, but the leaf is still green. That's what I was talking about, that burgundy with the green. Almost like a cool green. ready to live out its last weeks. Let me show you how I'm going to do that rehydration in a small, what we call porridge bowl. I put a little bit of water. I'll soften the plant delicately and put it in there, and take another one. Take a little bit of water and gently let the leafy parts unfold, not forcing it because then it will break. And something to note, this is not a crispy leaf, it's not dead, it's just crumpled up and discoloring. So I'll put 2 or 3. Like this one is too crispy, it's not going to do. Let's do one more. This is a beautiful one. A beautiful specimen, said the scientist. And that's what we're doing. We are discovering ways to loosen up, to explore our surroundings, to discover colors, to see the world in a different way. So, the next thing is to take another plate and just put it on top of that one and let it sit there for a little while. Just enough time, maybe let's say half an hour. Go get dressed, go do whatever you need to do, and we can meet each other back at that table and paint some of these leaves and flowers in a new bouquet and see what I'm going to have for fruit today. Right, it's about 11 o'clock in the morning and there's a few minutes available for me now. I'm waiting for a laundry load to finish up, and in that time I can now sit down and explore those colors, because this bowl of leaves we soaked earlier, remember those dried up leaves from a second ago? So they are ready, and can you see how that water was colored? It just goes to show how much pigment or natural color is inside those leaves. We tend to forget that a plant has its own vibrant colors. All right, let's go down and see what's happening with this beautiful exploration of color. And yeah, now I have to fit some painting in between those tasks. And that's exactly what I want you to do as well. Is never forget that your life is happening while you are living it. And if creativity is one of those things you want to fit into your life, then you have to just make time for that, or else it will never fit into any area. Right. I did take a photo of our bouquet that is standing right there, and that way we can have a look at it while we're painting. So, is this a good spot? There. Okay, let's prop it up with a little something that's left over on the table. Get our paper a little bit closer. All right, how's that? Now you can see everything. And we've got the remnants there as well, those deep, deep colors in there. So on our small test, I'm going to see if we can match this color by using the ones we have and then playing around with that. This is gorgeous. I wish you could see it with your own eyes. Just scrumptiously beautiful. Okay, so let's see. Is that white enough? Yeah. Definitely white enough. So let's go with red. We'll start there, and then we'll add a bit of brown. And that's okay. I think we can do better. So let's do red again. This time I'm going to put a little bit of pink in there as well, and a touch of this cool violet, just a little bit. That's also beautiful. But can you see that both of them, this cool version and the warm version, are visible in the spectrum of colors that are showing there? So how about if we turn it around and we go to that lighter side over there? That might even be more orangey than we think. So let's take some of that red again. This time I'm going to go in with orange instead of brown, and see if I can match that to those there. Now I think we've got 3 good color mixes here. But what if we take that red and this time mix in this warmer purple? So even that is visible there on that dried little tip. Can you see that? So I think we've got a good color combination for the dahlia flowers, these ones here. And all of those versions can have its full saturation or the pale saturation. And let's try and add, oh yes, I think we've got 4 really good colors in here. Now for the green, and I'm not talking about the green leaves, I'm talking about these leaves that had that really dark green in them. So I would use these colors in a saturated version and then add our regular green in there. So look what happens when we merge some of that with that there. It creates this beautiful color that mimics that, and if we put more red in, you'll see it matches that almost exactly. So I think we've got a winner here. We could add a little bit of that limey apple green and see where that goes. But I don't want to forget to have fun, of course. So I think we could start with putting these wet leaves onto the page and sort of work with them and around them and incorporate them in some way. Maybe as a shadow or as an actual plant here and there. I think it's going to stain the page just enough. You know what? We could even paint this with our little mixture here. And just make sure it lays down that color and plays nicely with us. So you won't be able to see where those colors are exactly, but when you pick them up, you'll have a beautiful little surprise. And with whatever is left on my brush, I'm gonna add more water, take more of those colors, and come in and start working on that background. You'll see that today I'm not even bothered by being messy or spilling the color, and that's part of going looser and freeing up your mind. Now, I know that I still have to introduce you to today's fruit that's going to accompany this, and I think that is now the exact time when you need to see what fruit we are bringing into this picture. I'm leaving a little bit of room there for my fruit, and making sure I've got my leafy bits here, pressing that down so that the wetness can go into my watercolor paper. And you'll see this technique is very different to what we've already been doing, and that's part of that exploration, looking to see what else we can do. So look here, talking of things that are aging and drying and dying, I found a lovely mango in the back of my fridge, and this is the perfect example to accompany these beautiful dahlias, because this aging process, this hardening of the minerals and elements inside the fruit, is probably one of those things that give us the best textures. Now, this is still good to eat. It's just been in the fridge for a little while. But the skin is aging, bringing us more of those gorgeous colors. Now you can clearly see that our mango is going to work very nicely here. And all I'm going to do is take some of that orange, incorporate it into this mix, and then take some of that yellow ochre and bring that in as well. I don't want to put the focus on the mango today. I want to put the focus on those beautiful colors we've created for the dahlia. To do our little mango here, I'm going to pop in a whole bunch of yellow here in the bottom where you can see it, and come in with some of our pre-mixed colors and giving it that texture by just dabbing the mango on there. And I can go ahead and draw a full mango that's going to sit behind this leaf and just be there. It's just going to be present, like it was present in my fridge, waiting for me to find it. I'm just going to acknowledge its presence here on my page. Maybe bring in that brown for the stem. And you can always come back in with your pencils and your markers, everything that's water soluble. This is fairly simple, and the dahlia is also simple. I don't want you to think that it's going to be too difficult to paint. So keeping in mind that it's still just a shape, and the shape we are dealing with here is round. Remember, round-ish, not a donut, but round. So I'll come in and create that first shape there, and then with my flat brush I'm going to start making various concentrations of that color. I'm going to use the back as a reference and make some of those leaves on the outside, keeping it cool in one direction and then maybe warming it up a little bit as we move around the dahlia. Stamping out some of those petals and dragging some of them. And now giving that time to dry a little bit more before I add in. I think the next one, I want to do a little more of the pink. Again, starting very, very thin. Just a round shape for that outline for the dahlia, then coming in with the color. This time I'm going to put the pinks up there, and I'm literally just using my brush to create those little petals. I'll let them overlap when they touch other areas, and this time switch to your purpley red, little bit of purple, little bit of red, and going into the bottom. This will also help it merge with that leaf. And yeah, it can be a little bit bigger. So this time again, leave it until it is perfectly done. Now for the third one, I want to create something that is light on the outside and warm or dark on the inside. So I'll go in with that light color, and this time I'm going to push it outwards to create those petals like that. Push your brush out, you can let it touch, and then I'm going to come in with a mixture of those pinks and purples starting here on the inside. Now while that is damp, I'm going to let it bleed. Let's feel this one. It's still very damp, so we need to give it some time. And in that waiting period, I think we can come in with this third leaf. Now the third leaf, I want to try and see if I can bring out more of those colors. So let's go a little bit of green here. Oops, dripping on the tablecloth, and that's all right. It can always go into the wash. And this time bringing in some of those pinks. Again, dripping. I like it. giving me permission to be messy. So I'm taking some of that green and the reddish purple and creating a stem color here. And the stem is going to come out in little segments, just like a dahlia stem. You can add that one little piece in there. Want to make sure that this leaf also has some of that color, especially here in the darker areas. And a little more green, some of those smaller leaves. All right, and from the leaf itself, I'm going to bring in that stem right there. And then this one that we painted, let's bring in some more of that purple, a little more pink, and then a little more of the green. Okay, so remember to put it paint side down. Move it a little bit, press it into your paper. All right, that is beautiful. It's damp wet, so we'll go in with reddish purple and now create another layer of petals. They are cascading around like a clock, remember? And I'm pretty sure this one is ready as well. Same color, but it will look different because it is on a different base, remember? And this one can go while it's still somewhat wet. And we'll bring in some of those. Right, and for all of them, I'm going to go really dark with that center. Maybe even bring in some of that burgundy in a much more concentrated version. Remember, the concentrated, thicker paint is going to sit on top of the damp. It's not going to bleed in as much. And that's what we're looking for. So we're looking for those soft petals showing on top of the other damp petals without compromising their shape too much, and then coming in with that brush filled with pigment, solid pigment, and just creating a few brush strokes for the centers. And I'm gonna leave that now. I don't want to fiddle with it too much. What I can do is take some of that dirty water that is now stained with all the pinks and bringing it around the edges, lifting in a little bit of color that's left over on the palette so I can have color differentiation or color differences in each of those corners, because we're ignoring all of the background and simply coming in with the flowers as our focus. Now I do want to bring in the mangoes color somewhere, so let's see. Let's bring in a little mango goodness in there, just a splotch of color. Oh, very beautiful there, but add more water because we want that to be softer. And now some of these petals I'll just squish in there and let them live on the page. Same here. We can take some of those dried petals. Now my technique, of course, is going to evolve every single time I come to my table and sit down to paint, and yours will evolve as well. Because we are loosening up, you'll soon discover that loosening up also means being open to take risks with your paint and do things you wouldn't normally do. Now, do I regret messing with that? Maybe. Can I remove some of it? Yes, I can. So you can still see what's happening on your page. The difference is your work will look different every single time you go to your page, and it will look different to everybody else's work. And that is what this whole thing is about, is creating for yourself, making something that has not been seen before, and surprising yourself with mindful practices that only you could ever make if you sat quietly with yourself and figured these things out. I can teach you everything I know, but the best results will be from your own practices. The things you discover as you play and paint on your own, and if you start applying these mindful practices in your sketchbook work. Now, you knew that already, didn't you? I don't know if this is wet enough or if it will make a difference, but I'm just going to put it there. All right, let's leave this to dry and then see if we're going to come back in with our pencils and add some detail. I think I might do some of it now. Nothing is stopping me from coming in and painting a few of those leaves, a few of those petals, and just leading the eye, helping the eye see what I see. Now don't get too absorbed here and go too far or add too much detail. It's just a little bit of detail to help you loosen up and just give some close now. So we've got our mango prancing there. See how beautiful that texture is? A little mango bit picking out there, peeking out there. Dry. Look at that. What a surprise. Oh my goodness. Oh, I think if I had more color on there, it would have stamped even better. Oh, now that one I love. You know what? Looking at all of it, I'm happy. It's loose, it's expressive, it makes you wonder what was there, how did I get that? Very interesting. So, I think we're done with this one. I am not even going to add a single extra detail. I'm going to leave it as is. People can wonder whether this is a mango or some other flower in the background. For now, I'm happy. I'm really happy actually. And I love this color combination. Really gorgeous.